You cannot tell me that there is any justification for a guy that has committed 4 prior violent felonies to be given a $1,500 cash bond release. And this guy got out before that warrant could be activated. When we see something that's broke, the Dallas County justice system has a duty to fix it.
And they took both of my daughters.
19-year-old Deja wanted to be a nurse. That's why she was in college. Her sister, 20-year-old Abani, was her best friend. The two died together in Deja's dorm room Monday afternoon. Abani's 2-year-old son, Alan, was shot in the leg. He survived. The family wanted us to show video of baby Alan so people could see just how cruel the person who did this really is.
4 violent felonies, an aggravated assault charge from just days before, a probation violation warrant that never reached a judge's desk in time, and a $15,000 bond. That's what stood between a young mother trying to escape her abuser and the man who had already beaten her with a frying pan, cracked a lamp over her skull, and pressed a knife to her throat while promising to kill her. If you're here for the first time, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell beside it so you'll get notifications whenever I upload new content. And if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. Within a week of walking out of that jail, Jacques Smith walked into a college dormitory in Commerce, Texas. He found his ex-girlfriend. He found her younger sister. He found her 2-year-old son. He shot all 3 of them. The sisters, Deja and Abani Matz, died on that dorm room floor. The toddler survived with a bullet wound to his leg. He was 2 years old. Then Jacques Smith went home, logged onto Facebook, posted a long emotional message about how much he loved Abani, how he wished he could have been there to protect her. To strangers scrolling their feeds, it looked like a grieving boyfriend. To investigators reviewing surveillance footage, it was a performance. A calculated act from a man who had just murdered 2 women and shot a child. This is the story of 19-year-old Deja Matz and her 20-year-old sister Abani, a college freshman chasing a degree in public health, a young mother building a career as a dental assistant, 2 sisters who did everything right, and a system that failed them at every turn. Garland. Texas sits about 30 minutes northeast of Dallas. This is where Deja Monica Matz and Abani Nicole Matz grew up, side by side, year after year, so close that people who knew them rarely mentioned one name without the other. Deja was 19 when she died. She had worked hard to earn her spot at Texas A&M University Commerce, a freshman living in Pride Rock Residence Hall, majoring in public health, already talking about nursing school, already imagining herself helping people. Those who knew her describe her the same way: sweet, focused, determined. The kind of young woman who didn't just dream about things. She followed through. Her older sister Abani was 20. A young mother to a little boy named Alan, just 2 years old. Abani worked as a dental assistant, a job she had earned through pure dedication, started at the front desk, trained, pushed herself until she was trusted with clinical work. Her co-workers remember her as reliable, cheerful, proud of her son, proud of her job, proud of the life she was building. But most of all, she was proud of her sister. To family and friends, Deja and Abani were a unit. They posed for selfies together, swapped clothes, laughed in kitchens while food sizzled on stoves. At family gatherings, they were the fun aunt-mom duo, equally capable of wrangling kids or offering quiet support. Their father would later describe both daughters the same way: fun, uplifting, nice folks. Nice folks.
Nobody would do something like that, you know what I'm saying? My daughters were fun, uplifting, had plenty of friends, nice folks, you know what I'm saying? They took both of my daughters.
2 words that carry so much weight when spoken by a father who buried both of his daughters. Abani's life had a shadow in it, a relationship that started the way many do: attention, affection, charm. His name was Jacques Deshawn Smith. 21 years old, from Rowlett, Texas. By the time he entered Abani's life, his name had already crossed the desks of multiple police departments. This was not a man with one mistake on his record. This was a man with a pattern: 2 prior aggravated robbery convictions, additional arrests for aggravated assault, charges for evading police in several cities. By 21, Jacques Smith had accumulated the kind of criminal history most people never see in a lifetime. Inside the relationship, those patterns showed themselves in ways domestic violence survivors know all too well. The cycle of apologies followed by anger, the promises to change followed by eruptions, the slow isolation from friends and family. But there comes a point when survival instincts override hope. For Abani, that point came in late January 2020. She tried to leave. That decision triggered one of the most violent attacks she had ever experienced. According to court documents, Jacques Smith broke a lamp over her head, hit her repeatedly with a frying pan, grabbed a knife and held it to her body while saying the words that still echo through this case, "I will kill you." Abani survived because she fought. She got away. She called the police. Smith was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Given his extensive criminal history, given his multiple prior convictions, given the fact that he was already on probation, this should have been the moment the system said, enough. But the bond was set at $15,000 for a man with 4 violent felonies, for a man who had just beaten a woman with household objects and threatened to kill her with a knife. He paid it. And he walked out. There was a warrant coming. Court officials were preparing paperwork to revoke his probation. But paperwork moves slowly. Computers lag, forms shuffle between desks. And while everyone checked their boxes, Jacques Smith was free. A domestic violence expert will tell you something important. The most dangerous time for a victim is when she tries to leave. Abani Matz had just tried to leave a man who had promised to kill her. She had no idea the danger was already circling back. The weekend before the murders, the Matz family gathered in Garland for a birthday party. Kids running through rooms, laughter echoing from the kitchen, music playing low, and of course, the sisters showed up together, because that's who they were. The family celebrated without knowing what was coming. They laughed without knowing those laughs would haunt them. Nobody imagined they were spending their last weekend with both daughters alive. As evening settled, Deja mentioned needing to get back to campus. Commerce was about 90 minutes away. Her family didn't want her making that drive alone. So, Abani stepped in. The way she always did. She told her sister she'd ride with her, keep her company, and of course, little Alan came along too. By the time they arrived at Pride Rock Residence Hall, it was late. Too late for another long drive back. So Abani made a decision that seemed completely reasonable. She decided to stay for the night. One night. Just one night. And that one night placed Abani and her son in the exact location where Jacques Smith would come looking. Because while the sisters were settling in, somewhere in North Texas, a man who should have been behind bars was free. A man whose probation violation warrant was still sitting in an administrative queue while he tracked his ex-girlfriend's movement. Monday morning, February 3rd, 2020. Inside Deja's dorm room, the morning was probably quiet. A young mother getting her toddler ready. 2 sisters maybe talking about the drive back to Garland. None of them knew that Jacques Smith had been watching, tracking, waiting. He was not a student at Texas A&M Commerce. He had no business being on that campus. No classes, no friends in the dorms, no legitimate reason to be anywhere near Pride Rock. But somehow, on that Monday morning, he got in. Pride Rock was supposed to be a secure building. Locked entrances, controlled access. The kind of building parents tour and feel relieved about. Yet a man with 4 violent felonies, arrested for aggravated assault just days earlier, walked right in. How? That question would haunt the Matz family for years. The university has never provided clear answers. What we have is surveillance footage. Cameras captured a man in a hoodie moving through the hallway, entering Deja's floor, approaching the room, and shortly after, leaving. Fast, moving with purpose, head down, out of view. Within moments, shots had already been fired inside the room. We don't know who opened the door. Maybe a knock, maybe a text message. Maybe he called out Abani's name in a voice that sounded calm. There was no sign of forced entry. The door was opened willingly by someone who recognized the person on the other side. Inside that small dorm room, Jacques Smith opened fire. Deja Matz, 19 years old, was shot multiple times. Abani Matz, 20 years old, was shot multiple times. Little Alan, just 2 years old, was hit in the leg, inches away from something far worse. We don't know who tried to run. We don't know who screamed or who tried to shield the child. We don't know what the last words were between two sisters who had spent their whole lives protecting each other. All we know is that in seconds, it was over. 2 young women lay dying on that floor. A toddler lay wounded beside them. And Jacques Smith walked out. Across the hall, a student heard something. Later, she would discover a bullet hole in her wall. She didn't know yet that a murder had just happened feet away. She called 911.
Dorm room.
And there's a hole through my wall, and on the other side directly across, there's a nick in my calendar. So it looks like something was shot through the wall and hit my calendar.
Police arrived fast. Officers breached the room. Inside, they found the bodies of Deja and Abani Matz, both pronounced dead at the scene. On the floor, injured but alive, was Alan, rushed to a hospital. A 2-year-old boy caught in the crossfire, and he survived. The campus went into lockdown. Alerts lit up student phones, dorms sealed, classrooms locked. Students texted families in a panic. While students sheltered in place, investigators pulled surveillance footage, zoomed in on parking lot cameras, captured a license plate. That plate led to an address in Rolette, Texas, a home connected to Jacques Smith. By evening, police descended on the residence. What they found went beyond the double murder. Evidence connected Smith not only to the killings of Deja and Abani, but to another murder. The New Year's Eve shooting of 22-year-old Stephen Daniels in Denton.
21-year-old Jaquez Smith now facing 3 capital murder charges, 2 counts for the murders of Deja and Abani Matz inside a Texas A&M Commerce dorm Monday. Now Denton police say he's responsible for the death of a man on New Year's Eve.
And through the course of that investigation, just by skill, good luck, and the grace of God, these 2 cases intersected at the right time.
The Denton police chief says on December 31st, Smith and 2 other men, Jalen Hargrove and Ernest Rogers, attempted to rob 22-year-old Stephen Daniels before killing him in an apartment parking lot. Police say investigators found evidence at a Rowlett home that linked Smith to the Denton murder.
Smith was not a target of our investigation. He was not a suspect in our investigation until last night, late last night, when we got enough information to then charge him in our case. We were looking for a completely different suspect in our case, and it just so happens that they're linked together.
Smith was already known to law enforcement before the college campus killings. Last week, he was arrested in Garland for a charge of assaulting one of the victims, his ex-girlfriend, Abani Matz. Court documents say Smith hit Matz with multiple items after she says that she wanted the relationship to take a break. The documents also say Smith allegedly said, "I will kill you," while holding a knife. Smith was booked in with a $15,000 bond, which he posted days before Matt's murder.
It sounds low given the lengthy criminal history in this case. You would think that the bond would have been set at a higher amount. Again, you don't have all the factors, but $15,000 sounds low.
Defense attorney and former assistant district attorney Russell Wilson is not associated with the case, but has extensive knowledge of bond procedures. We asked him about Smith's release last week and what seems to be a low bond amount given Smith's criminal violent history with 2 prior aggravated robbery convictions that led to a 5-year probation sentence. Wilson says the court should have seen that record when assessing Smith's case.
A lot of times the folks that are on probation want to bond out as quickly as possible before the court that they're on probation can learn of the new arrest. And so that is not necessarily infrequent, but it is infrequent that the entire week goes without that person being issued a new warrant for the probation violation.
3 lives, 3 murders, all connected to the same man who had walked out of jail on a $15,000 bond days earlier. And while police built their case, Jacques Smith went on Facebook. Hours after killing Abani, hours after killing her sister, hours after shooting a 2-year-old. "Abby, I can't believe this. We were supposed to grow old together. You and Bonka are everything to me. I would have been right there to protect y'all." To investigators who had tracked his cell phone to the campus, who had watched him on surveillance footage, who had found evidence in his home. It was a performance from a killer. He was arrested shortly after. This time, no low bond. Capital murder charges. Bond set in the millions. He wasn't going anywhere. The legal process stretched on for years. Court dates, delays, motions. The Matz family sat through all of it. Eventually, Smith pleaded guilty. Life sentence plus 35 years. Sentences running consecutively. It wasn't mercy. It was a guarantee. This man would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The family accepted the plea, not because it brought closure. Closure doesn't exist for parents burying both daughters. They accepted it because it meant certainty. But questions remained. How did a non-student, a recently arrested violent offender, get into a secure residence hall? Who was on patrol? What security measures failed?
My daughters were both amazing go-getters.
Losing their daughters was bad enough, but unanswered questions nearly a year later, these parents say, is a recurring nightmare.
I lay awake every night and I wonder what happened.
Last February, sisters Abani and Deja Matz were shot and killed inside Deja's dorm room at Texas A&M Commerce. Abani's ex-boyfriend is accused in the murders, but to this day, their parents say they have no idea how it happened.
Where was security when all of this was going on?
I wonder how someone was able to get in a secure building, up secure elevators.
Stonewalled, they claim, by the university. So in a lawsuit, their attorney is demanding information about the investigation and campus security to then determine if they'll sue.
They're being treated as if they did something wrong. All they want to know at this point is what happened.
In court documents, the university argues it's not liable because the gunman was neither a student nor an employee, adding it's also immune from releasing requested information.
If the school is hiding behind governmental immunity, this isn't what it was built for. It wasn't built to keep from answering questions to parents that lost children.
I can't imagine that any parents wouldn't want to know what happened and wouldn't demand answers.
And then there's Abani's 2-year-old, injured in the shooting.
He has made a full recovery, but it's hard because he misses his mom. He cries for her. It's been very, very challenging.
A family desperate for answers.
The family filed a lawsuit seeking answers. Surveillance logs, staffing assignments, security procedures. The university claimed sovereign immunity. They argued they couldn't be sued because they were a state school. Deja's mother said she lay awake night after night. How did he get through all those locked layers? How did he get into her daughter's room? The story of Deja and Abani Matz reached beyond Texas. Their names were read on the floor of Congress during National Gun Violence Survivors Week. Because this case was never just about one man's violence, it was about how restraining orders don't stop bullets, how bond decisions can either save a life or end one, how probation violations ignored can become funerals. Deja Matz left for college to help people. Abani Matz drove her sister to campus to keep her safe. They did everything right. They trusted a system that was supposed to protect them from a man who had already proven what he was capable of. That system failed. Somewhere today, a little boy named Alan is growing up without his mother, without his aunt, carrying a scar on his leg and memories he's too young to understand. Someday, someone will have to explain to him why they never came home. And the only honest answer is this: the system that should have protected them didn't. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. See you on the next one.